You are important. I'm not trying to give you, self-esteem, feel-goods of the day, though that might build your self-esteem, might make you feel good. I'm trying to help you understand who you are before God and what the Bible says you are. Hi, my name is Brian. Welcome to my garage Bible study. We're going to go through Genesis. We looked last week at Genesis 1. I want to look a little bit at Genesis 2 today. Genesis 1 last week was about the inanimate objects, how God has created or redeemed and restoring this world. Genesis 2 is about how important you are. God creates all these entities, stars and water and animals, but there's only one thing that he creates that's known as in the image of God, the imago Dei in the Latin, and that is you. That's humans. There's things that you have and I have in common with God that my dog Peanut doesn't have, that my cat Frank doesn't have, that the deer in these woods back here don't have. You are important. Let's go ahead and pick up our story in Genesis chapter 2, verse 18. It says this: Then the Lord God said, "It is not good for the man to be alone. I will make a helper suitable for him." Now out of the ground the Lord had formed every beast of the field and every bird of the heavens and brought them to man to see what he could call them. And whatever the man called every living creature, that was his name. The man gave names to all livestock and the birds of the heavens and to every beast of the field. But for Adam, there was not found a helper suitable for him. A couple things are going on here right now. First, we're seeing male-female relationships happening here. And it says when man is alone, it's not good. It's not good for us as people to be alone. We need community. We need abiding relationships. As men as well, not every man is going to get married. Not every man has the opportunity to get married. Same thing with women. But men, when we don't see that as a blessing, we actually become very incomplete. We do there's something called man camp. We do couples camp. We also do woman camp. We also do vet camp. We also do dog camp. No, not dog camp. Probably should try that. But I tell the men at man camp, it's great. But you know what man camp also is? It's also man incomplete camp, because it's when we're bound to another person or bound to a woman that we really come out fullness, because women are creating the image of God. My dog doesn't talk back to me like my wife does. My dog has less authority than I have. My wife has authority, and she can kind of mess up my life or mess up my emotions based on what she says in ways that my dog can't. But my wife has that power because she's creating the image of God. Same with anybody you know in your office space or any of your friends. You have an authority that other entities don't have. You notice here what Adam and Eve are to do? They're supposed to name the animals. God gives them actual authority. When you name something, you have authority. If you're going to name your car, like I named my truck for overlanding Snoop Dogg. Kind of looks like Snoopy. Snoopy's too girly, but Snoop Dogg, that sounds cool. It's called Snoop Dogg. I have authority over the truck, calling my truck Snoop Dogg. I have authority over my dog to call him or her Peanuts. And God gives humans the ability to say deer, dog, aardvark, I don't know, antelope. Only things that have authority can name things, and that's what you and I have. If my dog, Peanut, if she miraculously got the gift of speech, when my dog would say something to me, it wouldn't have the ability to encourage me like when you say something to me. It doesn't have the ability to discourage me either, like when you say something to me. Why is it we overreact so much to words that are given online? Why is it we can't get the voice out of our head of the way people have heard us verbally? Or why do we live up to the positive encouragement that other people have said to us maybe 5 years ago, maybe 10 years ago? I remember as an 8-year-old, or actually a 9-year-old, I graduated from 8-year-old Pee Wee football to 9-year-old Pee Wee football. And my 8-year-old coach said to me, as a 9-year-old, "We're watching you. There's big plans for you." It was Gary Christensen. I just kind of, like, man, I still feel that encouragement. We're watching you. People have big plans for you. There's a power to our words because you have authority. Parents, do not let your kids figure out for themselves who they are. Don't do that. I'm not talking about your kids figure out who they are when they're 18. I'm saying when they're 3, 4, 5, you tell your kids who they are. The book of Proverbs says, train a child up in the way in which he shall go, and when he grows older, he will not depart. It's saying use your authority. When you see that your child is maybe really good at art, call out for them. You're a really good artist. Maybe God has a plan for you in art. There are art teachers around the world that may be doing so because their parent called that out in them. Or calling out, I see how well you work with trucks and how you well work with construction equipment. You are a great builder. Coach your children. Tell them who you are. You're actually placed in their life as an authority figure. You know more about life than they do. You have more wisdom than they do. And you actually love them more than they do. When you interact with somebody in the neighborhood, you have an ability to unleash your authority by saying something full of grace to your neighbor. And that's because you're created in the image of God. When God says something to us, something is powerful. Now, I'm just going to plow real fast. That's about all I had on you are important. You are important. Use your mouth that way. One last thing, I'm going to go real quick because there's some in our midst who might be dealing with this who are married, and I just want to help you out here, or about to get married. Here's what it says here. I'm going to jump all the way down to verse 24 in the same section. Therefore, a man shall leave his father and his mother and hold fast to his wife, and they shall become one flesh. And the man and his wife were both naked and were not ashamed. This original marriage that's shown here shows how it operates. Man leaves his family of origin. A woman leaves her family of origin, and they become one flesh. Physically, when they have physical intercourse, it is showing that not only are they one physically, but before God, they're one spiritually. This means for you who are about to get married, your future spouse's desires are more important than your mother's desires. They're more important than your dad's desires. When the wedding is, how much you spend on the wedding, who's coming to the wedding, fine, get their ideas, get their insight, because they're smart, they're your parents, they've had an authority over you. But now you shift your authority from your parents being the voice that's the most important to now your spouse being the voice that's most important. And whenever your spouse wants to listen to the parents more than you, that's a problem. That's a problem if it doesn't get handled right now in the premarital process, is going to be a pain point in the marriage process and in your marriage. If your spouse is taking cues from what their dad said to them and having their esteem based on what their dad said to them, or just being influenced too much by their parents' words versus yours, it's a good conversation point for you in your marriage. Just say, honey, why is it that your parents' words mean more to you than my words? I'm the one who loves you most. I'm the one who's laying down his life or her life for you. I am the one that is bound to you for the rest of our life together. This may have all kinds of ramifications for you, but I just want you to know our world doesn't think this way. Our world doesn't think there's anything different between your dog and you. There is. Our world doesn't think that humans have authority and are humans. We can tell our children what to do and use our authority. We can. And our world, with its 50% divorce rate, also believes that, no, you're your own individual. You maintain your individuality. No, you are not your own individual. You're one. When God brings us together, we are one. And when you come together as one, use your voice of authority to bless, encourage, to nurture, to correct your spouse in the most humble and grace-giving way. You do that, your importance in this world will only escalate. Well, that's it. You're important. I hope you feel it. It's true. Go out there and use your words, use your actions accordingly. That's all I got for you this week. We'll see you next time on My Garage Bible Study.